Hey, you! I know student organization funding can be very confusing and complex. I'm here today to make it a little simpler for you. Instead of going over all the do's and don'ts of funding, I'm going to hit on 5 main points. These are the points that you really need to understand in order to be a good resource for your students when it comes to funding. So let's get started. Step 1. First, make sure you are mentoring the funding process. As an advisor, your job is to guide your student organization through the funding process. Rather than completing everything for them, you can be a resource for them if they have questions. Help them while they fill out the funding request form and create a budget, but make sure to let students complete their own work on their own, only assisting when they need help. Got it? Okay, next point. Number 2. Operational, program, and travel funding. These are all of the types of funding you should know off the top of your head. Let me walk you through each one. Operational funding proposals include any expenses that a student organization will incur when operating on a regular schedule. Operational funds are exclusively for members or prospective members of an organization. These expenses may include items such as food for meetings, office supplies when applicable, general flyers, and recruitment posters. Programming proposals include any event that an organization would like to host, sponsor, or organize. These events can include individuals who are not part of the organization. An organization cannot use existing operational funds to support programming events and therefore must submit a separate proposal for programming funds. Travel proposals are funds that will assist an organization in relocating members to a destination that is not on campus. An organization cannot use existing operational funds to support travel expenses and therefore must submit a separate proposal for travel funds. That was a mouthful, but on to the next point. Number 3. Once the funding request form is submitted, it is your job as the advisor to approve it. Upon receipt of your funding request, the Vice President of Business and Finance will contact you to gain your approval of the budget. Your approval must be received no later than 48 hours, I repeat, 48 hours before the start of the weekly committee meeting in order for an organization to keep its requested meeting time. If the advisor approval is not received on time, the committee will be unable to deliberate the proposals, and no one wants that. On to number 4. Number 4. The meeting. Make sure your students are aware that they have to attend an appropriations meeting. When attending an appropriations committee meeting, all representatives, in this case your students, from the organization will sit before the committee, which is composed of at least 5 voting members and chaired by the Vice President of Business and Finance. It is the responsibility of all representatives to thoroughly present information about the organization and all items for which funding is requested. Number 5. Know your resources. There are a ton of resources available to you and your student organization to find out even more about funding. For example, check out the SGA website for details about the funding request form and the appeals process. The Club Hub portal on OrgSync is also useful to find important files such as donation forms, prize receipts, and so forth. Finally, we've got the Allocations Handbook, which includes a detailed look at the policies and regulations related to the funding process. I know this is a lot to take in, but these are the 5 essential things that you should understand about student organization funding. I hope that these points will help you in mentoring your students about funding in the future.